Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Customer Success in a Pure Virtual World. My name is Matt Clausen, and I'll be moderating the webinar. Before we get started, I just want to go through a few quick housekeeping items. First of all, we are recording this webinar, so don't worry if you lose connectivity or if anything goes on with the technical aspect of things. You'll be able to get the recording later today in your inbox. And also, if you have any questions, we'll be taking as many as we can at the end of the webinar, so feel free to toss them into the questions tab in the utility anytime during the webinar, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. So just to walk through the agenda, well, we're all virtual now, and we'll talk through some of the challenges and the realities of our new immediate world. Second, we'll go through the ideas that we crowdsourced on LinkedIn, and then at the end, we'll talk about some tools that might help you, and then we'll have as much time as we can get to for questions and answers at the end. Our speakers today, I'm really happy to be joined by Nick Mehta, CEO of Gainsight, and Christina Kosmowski, Vice President and Global Head of Customer Success and Services at Slack. So let's get into it. Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Great to see everyone virtually, and great to see you, Christina and Matt, as well. So thank you. So first, I want to welcome Christina. We've done a lot of sessions together over the years, many in person, but we're happy to do video as well. I'll ask one icebreaker question to you, and I'll answer it too. We are all home now, kind of all of a sudden. Is there a small positive that you're getting out of your new working situation?
Well, I've got two teenage girls, and so you can imagine they fight me on everything. And for the first time ever, they're willing to work out with me. So we've gone on some runs, done some CrossFit type workouts. And so that has been a huge positive for me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's driving so much family togetherness. I think that is one thing, and hopefully not too much family apartness if we spend so much time together. But ours is that we have kind of three a high schooler and then two elementary schoolers, and we after dinner we watch Mr. Rogers every night, which is my TV show from my childhood, and something that the goodness and the kindness of that is something we all need right now. So with that, I'd like to dive into, like, many of you are all of a sudden in a virtual world. So some of you are pros. You've been working from home forever, and you actually have been working kind of in a virtual CS mode forever. But for some of you, this is like brand new, and you're like not able to see your colleagues anymore. You're not able to go fly to site with your customers anymore. And what changes? So just some quick ones are obvious. Obviously, a lot more being mindful of time zones, being mindful of nonverbal communications, using video and things like that to figure that out. Technical difficulties, we're all going to run into them. I'm actually amazed that the video conferencing is keeping up, but it's going to be challenging. We're going to talk more about it, but one challenge is going to be the number of meetings you're going to have, right? If you haven't been used to tons and tons of back-to-back meetings, and it might be hard sometimes to get meetings. Sometimes you might end the day without that feeling of human connection that you might have face-to-face. And if you're a CSM trying to get attention to your customers, sometimes out of sight, out of mind is a reality. And that makes it harder to drive change management, things like that. Christina, I think you said you've seen some unique challenges in this current world. Share what you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing customers take a real point of view either to accelerate their rollouts pretty significantly, so they want to move everything up, or de-accelerate, so they're putting stuff kind of on the back burner. And I know that that's creating some challenges. CSMs have to be flexible and in what you can get up and running fast for folks.
That's right, exactly. So that's the problems. Let's talk about what are people doing to solve those. And so one of the great things is the answers don't just come from me and Christina, they come from all of you. So what this presentation is based on is a crowdsourced LinkedIn thread that we started a couple nights ago. And literally within a few hours, there were 108 comments, great feedback. You can find this online, of basically tips for virtual customer success. We're going to share some of the best of those, and we're going to comment on what we've seen as well. So let's dive in. So let's kind of talk about first what I call the 5 that are obvious but don't always happen. Common sense, uncommonly practiced, and then 5 that are a little bit newer, they're more cutting edge. So let's go into number 1. So obviously, as we're trying to model right now, if you don't get to see a client face to face in person, turning on video to me is a no-brainer. It's one of those things that once one person does it, everyone else does it. I'll share a quick story, and I'll ask Christina to share as well. For us, in the early days of Gainsight in 2014, when we were just getting started, we had one of our first big clients, and I remember a situation where we did a conference call with slides to walk through our roadmap around a feature request that they had. And I got an email from the executive sponsor after the call and said, Nick, I love you, but I don't feel like you guys are listening to us. You're not understanding our needs. Can you guys come back with a better plan? A week later, we had another call with them. But unfortunately, a lot of things had happened in our company during that week. So we didn't have time to really revise our plan. And so we were like, oh my gosh, we basically have the same plan. We got on the phone again. This time we had video on. For whatever reason, we had it on. Presented basically the same roadmap. The client emailed me afterwards and said, you guys are doing such a better job listening to us. We feel like you really understand our needs now. And so it's funny because the connection through video made the client feel like we were listening to them more, even though the facts didn't change that much. Christina, what's your experience with video?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've really been using it with clients, but we've also been we've got an app called a donut, which is where it pairs you randomly with people to have these conferences. And so doing
Oh, that's
one-on-one
awesome.
video donut conferences has been really great to kind of keep the connection points alive as well.
Maybe we'll share the link to that after the webinar. That'd be a great one for people to try out. I think we'd like to try it out. Second obvious tip is sending an agenda before and notes after. I think people all know this. What some of the commenters pointed out on LinkedIn is the agenda beforehand serves two purposes. You know, first of all, agree on the agenda, but second of all, remind the customer of the meeting, increase the likelihood they show up, and then get notes afterwards so that they know that you take action seriously. One of the things that I think some people have done to take this next level is socialize the agenda with your champion and really get them bought in and almost help them co-present that agenda. So it's not just your agenda, it's their agenda too. Anything on your side, Christina?
Yeah, I mean, I think even during the meeting, depending on how many people are on the meeting, how to make it interactive as well through multiple channels. So having the video is great, but then for us, we also have a Slack channel perhaps for the meeting where people can post questions, and we even do interactive polls where we can get a pulse on how people are feeling about the meetings where maybe they wouldn't be as vocal on the video conference.
That is brilliant. Yeah, and I think we'll come back. There's a lot of use cases for Slack specifically in that. So continuing the Captain Obvious theme part of the presentation, when you don't see customers face to face, the one benefit is you don't have all that travel time and time in cabs and or Ubers and time in the lobby of the sign in and all that stuff, right? And so you can do a lot more meetings. What we're seeing people do is use the time to go deeper in their accounts and not just meet the senior people, but maybe meet the users, meet the admins, really get to go kind of more coverage of who your customer really is. Anything on your end, Christina? I'm sure
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
meeting
you
founders.
yeah, you said it well. And I think it's just, yeah, what I talked about earlier, creating more one-on-one meetings is really helpful.
Number 4 is something Christina alluded to as well, which is our clients, all of your clients are going through a lot right now. And it's a time to lead with empathy. And I empathize with all of you. You may have dogs in the background and kids, and you're balancing a lot of stuff, and that's awesome. And we're all human beings together here, and really letting your clients know that so they feel like that connection with you. And I found in the last few days, the ability to connect with clients is like never before, right? We hear dogs barking right now, right? And it's great. That ability to connect as human beings is sort of something that's pretty special for us right now. And, yeah, go ahead.
I would just add to this like flexibility. So, I know our team struggle. Here's how we've always done it. So it's empathy, but then being willing to be flexible yourselves and doing things differently.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Actually, Matt, if you don't mind clicking back one slide, I clicked too fast. So the 5th one on the obvious side is getting the team on the same page too, because this isn't just a customer problem. This is all your team is likely virtual too. All the same rules that apply internally. And I think Slack is experts at kind of internal collaboration as well. Anything you want to share on kind of getting your team together?
Yeah, I mean, I think setting the expectations and boundaries is really important. And one of the things we decided to do internally was move from longer meetings to shorter, more frequent stand-ups. So, for example, my meeting with my director is usually an hour and a half every week, and we're going to shift that to 30-minute increments Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that we're having more frequent touch points.